Hello and welcome back to the Content Podcast. I thought I'd do a little video answering the question, do Manchester United deserve credit for their operations in the transfer window this summer? And now look, it will come to no surprise to anyone really that Manchester United's operations and their tactics, shall we call them, in the summer transfer windows or even the January transfer windows have been nothing short of abysmal, especially after the Sir Alex Ferguson era came to an end. You only have to look back to January, the last full transfer window that Erik ten Hag had, where he needed several players. Man United, some even pundits were claiming that Manchester United were in a title race. So what did they do to bolster up the squad? They signed two loan players who were both not even at the club anymore. So if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't think anything will really in terms of Manchester United's operations in the transfer window. But I do think there are several little scenarios and little tactics they've implemented in the current transfer window that probably do deserve a little bit of credit. So obviously, Mason Mount's through the door. He's a signed Manchester United player. He's done all of the videos and the announcement photos and all of that. And he's also had a few training sessions ready for pre-season. A Manchester United new signing being in the door for pre-season is nothing short of a miracle, to be honest. But look, he's through the door. And whether or not you think Manchester United need someone like Mason Mount to take them to the next level, or you think that Mason Mount isn't quite really the player that Man United need in that midfield, I think is subjective at the end of the day. But look, I think optics do really play a big part in football. If Manchester United signed a world-class striker and then also a world-class goalkeeper, which we'll get onto shortly, and then Mason Mount came in, I think a lot of people would be certainly more open to the signing of Mason Mount. But because he's the first one through the door, I do think it will come under scrutiny, whoever it will be. And rightly so, at the end of the day, Man United need reinforcements and they need reinforcements immediately. But look, Mason Mount will have to prove if he's that guy, so to speak, and he's the player that's going to take Man United back to where they want to go. But in that Mason Mount scenario, Manchester United and Chelsea, they both sort of knew that a deal was going to be struck because Mason Mount wanted to leave Chelsea. He made it very clear, not just to Chelsea and to Manchester United, but other clubs that were interested in him as well, that Manchester United was the destination for him. But obviously, Chelsea didn't like the price that Man United were going in with. They wanted an extra 30-40 million, and they thought that 45 million wasn't enough, which I guess is their prerogative, just like Declan Rice was with West Ham. They wanted 100 million plus, and they got that from Arsenal. So, I think this is a situation where Man United did play a very basic tactic, one that I don't think a genius would take to work it out. A situation where Mason Mount was obviously the player they wanted, and then they claimed that they wanted Caicedo, which is, of course, the Chelsea main target for their midfield this summer. So Man United turned around and said, look, if you don't accept our 50-55 million pound bid, we'll take that. We'll add another 30-40 million and get your signing, and then Mason Mount will leave in the summer the following year. So it's a very basic tactic. If you don't take our offer, we'll take that money and give it to someone else. And it worked. And look, even with the Onana situation, Manchester United, from my understanding, are very close to getting this signing through the door. I think a lot of Man United fans have come to the realisation that he will be the new Man United number one, because obviously David De Gea has come to an end, and I think it's worth mentioning the treatment of David De Gea has been absolutely shocking for a club like Manchester United, who have prided themselves on standards and morals for all of their players, have yet again gone through a situation where the player who's given over a decade of service to Manchester United has been shut out. And now look, that's not me saying Man United should have kept David De Gea. I think it was very clear from all the mistakes that he made in the season just gone that it was time for Man United to move on if they want to play the way Erik ten Hag really wants to play at Old Trafford. So look, I think it was the right decision, but the fact that they signed a contract with a reduced wage for David De Gea, claim they were happy with the contract and then pulled out from the club, I just think it's so unprofessional. Take it to any workplace. If you sign a contract of a negotiation that has gone through over weeks and months and you finally come to a conclusion only for your employer to pull out, how would you feel in that situation? But look, at the end of the day, Onana's about to come in, hopefully anyway, and again, Man United have implemented this tactic of, well, if we don't get our bid accepted, then we'll take our money and put it elsewhere. So obviously it's slightly different because they're obviously not going to bid any money for someone like Dean Henderson, but there were reports coming out that Man United are open to keeping Dean Henderson as their number one, which, to be honest, is, for me anyway, absolutely garbage. He's not good enough, and the interview that he gave for TalkSport speaks volumes in terms of the kind of personality he is, which I don't think Man United need. They've had so many issues with problematic individuals, shall we call them, that have proved to be more problematic, as I say, rather than providing solutions. You only have to look at someone like Paul Pogba, for instance, massive personality, but on the pitch failed to be consistent. So, back to this situation, I think Man United wanted Onana. Inter Milan obviously need to sell because of their financial difficulties, but they know that Man United are in the position where they need a goalkeeper. So that's when the Henderson links come out. And do you see the common theme coming out here when Man United want a player, bid an amount, and the selling club aren't happy with the bid? Do you see what happens? They expect and they claim that, well, we don't have to go down this route. We can go to other alternatives, when in reality, we all know that they don't have any other alternatives. So again, this is something, that I think Man United do need a little bit of praise for. It's not exactly, university level tactics or a doctor degree you need to be able to understand the way that they're trying to move. But at the end of the day, they're getting their business done, and they're getting it done early. Onana's expected to be announced this week, which I'd be very surprised if it didn't. And also, they don't seem to have overpaid for these players either. It's a situation, again, as I say, Mount 45, 55 million. Some would say it's quite a lot of money, but given his age, given his Premier League experience, which I'm sure some of you guys know isn't exactly a deal breaker or a deal confirmer, whichever way you want to confirm it, for me anyway. But at the end of the day, that they haven't overpaid too much, certainly in the situation last season with Anthony. No matter what you think of Anthony, I think he's got a lot of potential. He's shown bursts of, as I say, potential in his first season at Manchester United. And I think, give him a bit of time, and hopefully Man United fans will be happy with the player that they've brought in. But they massively overpaid for him. If you're asking me, I'll probably say they overpaid by 30-odd million for him, given his age as well. He's still very young, but even still. So, this summer there have been certain changes, shall we say, certain steps in the right direction, if you like, for Manchester United. But then realistically, I don't think we should be lowering our standards to praising Manchester United for getting their business done early. I think Sir Alex Ferguson tended to get his business done early. You only have to look across the city in Manchester to Pep Guardiola. He gets his business done very early. I can't really remember any deadline day signings that Pep Guardiola has brought in. I'm sure the viewers of this in the comment section will correct me if I'm wrong on that. But proper clubs, big clubs and big managers, they want to get their business done early to spend a lot of time with their new signings and really implement them in the squad and provide that platform for them to really, as I say, grow in not only to their position but into the squad and really understand their role in the team. But as I say, when you've there's an example that someone said to me, which has always stuck with me. If you've had the taste of champagne in your life, why would you ever settle for the taste of Prosecco? And it's the same thing with Manchester United. Just because the standards have dropped to Prosecco level, we should be aiming and we should be aspiring to the champagne level of business. We should be getting these players in early. We shouldn't be held to ransom by teams because they know Man United have got money, which, to be honest, I think we all know isn't exactly the case at the moment, given the situation with the Glazers and the potential sale, which I'm sure we'll obviously talk about at another stage in another video or podcast. But, back to the transfers. At the end of the day, Man United have addressed the issues that they want to address in terms of positions on the pitch. Midfield was somewhere they needed to really implement some improvements, as well as the goalkeeper. This is the modern era. We're in the 21st century where arguably the goalkeeper is the first line of the attack, which sounds crazy to some of the old school football fans, but that's at the end of the day where football is going at the moment. But as I say, it does sort of, it's difficult to really explain. It does fill me with a little bit of optimism. It might be too much of a strong word to say in terms of Manchester United doing some business early, but look, they're nowhere near where they need to be. Even the signing of Mason Mount and Onana, and as well as Rasmus Højlund, which has been linked with a move to Manchester United. Although these are players with great mentalities who will provide a lot for Manchester United, is this really going to take us back to the level that Manchester United should be at? Is this going to take us to the level where we think Manchester United should be at? It remains to be seen. But, it's certainly something that's going to ramble on over the summer. Manchester United with the takeover, always in the background. It's the massive elephant in the room when it always comes to transfers and negotiations, which I'm sure has obviously been discussed at board level as well when they're talking about signings. Man United are on a budget, unfortunately, in terms of the players they want to bring in. And obviously, if they do bring Onana in, as well as Mount and then Rasmus Højlund, the only way they're going to be able to sign any more players is if they sell them, with several Man United players digging their heels in at the moment and almost refusing to leave, even though they're surplus to requirements at Old Trafford. So look, I think this is really Certainly a promising summer ahead in terms of obviously getting the signings done early. Man United still need several reinforcements to really put together a squad worthy and strong enough to be able to challenge on all fronts. At the end of the day, Man United are back in the Champions League, which would be a massive priority for the likes of Casemiro and Rafael Varane, who have had multiple Champions League success stories. And Erik Ten Hag, he reached the semi-final, was on the verge of reaching the final with Ajax, albeit losing to a last-minute Lucas goal against Tottenham Hotspur a couple of seasons ago. So look, it's going to be a massive summer for Manchester United, hopefully. Either way, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny, and rightly so. Man United need to book their ideas up and book them up quickly. They need to back Erik Ten Hag. A lot of opposing fans that I've spoken to say, well, he's already been backed. They spent X amount of million on Casemiro and Antony last season. But then my argument back to that is, as I've said at the start of the video, look at January. They didn't spend a single penny and signed a striker who didn't score, I don't think, one Premier League goal, which speaks volumes. I don't think I really need to go any further than that. So, yeah, like I say, it's going to be an interesting summer. It's a summer that Manchester United have to back Erik Ten Hag. If they don't, mark my words, don't be surprised if Erik Ten Hag starts looking the other way. Although he's an amazing manager that many Manchester United fans are loving at the moment, he should not accept mediocrity, and rightly so. He's a Manchester United manager who was pretty certain to be promised back in the way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was backed. And at the end of the day, if Man United are backing someone of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's calibre, then they have no excuse for not backing Erik Ten Hag. So, as I say, it's going to be, hopefully anyway, a very exciting summer for Manchester United fans. I will be doing a few more of these videos, you know, speaking about the players that Man United are interested in, getting a few good guests, some European football experts, all that kind of stuff over the next couple of weeks and months in terms of the transfer window. So please be sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment below in terms of any conversations or topics you'd like me to cover when it comes to Manchester United or anything football related. As I said, it's going to hopefully be a summer that gives us a lot of things to discuss and talk about, and it won't just be this singular video. So please be sure to like, subscribe, follow on all the social media to keep up to date with all the content that we're going to be producing. And please, as I say, I can't stress it enough, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more content by the content.